Rate your own skill at literally anything right now on a scale of 1 to 10. If you rated yourself an 8 or higher, you might actually be one of the least skilled people in the room. And you'd have no way of knowing it. This isn't an insult. It's a documented psychological effect, and by the end of this video, you'll never trust your own confidence the same way again. It's called the Dunning-Kruger Effect, and here's exactly how it works. In 1999, 2 researchers at Cornell ran a simple test. They gave students a quiz on grammar, logic, and humor, then asked each student to guess how well they'd scored, compared to everyone else. The students who scored in the bottom 25% guessed they'd outperformed most of the class. Not slightly wrong, wildly wrong. The worst performers thought they were above average. Here's the part that explains everything. The skill required to do a task well is the exact same skill required to recognize good performance. So if you lack that skill, you also lack the ability to notice that you lack it. Incompetence doesn't just produce bad results. It removes your ability to judge that the results are bad. You've seen this everywhere, you just didn't have a name for it. The vast majority of drivers rate themselves as above-average drivers. Mathematically, most of them cannot be right. The person belting out karaoke, completely off-key, fully convinced they sound incredible. The guy yelling at his TV during a game, absolutely certain he could coach the team better. And in meetings, it's often the newest, least experienced person in the room speaking with the most certainty. Not because they know more, because they don't yet know how much they don't know. Here's where it gets even more interesting and more uncomfortable. The effect works in reverse, too. Actual experts tend to underestimate themselves. The more you actually learn about a subject, the more you realize how much you still don't know. This is why genuine experts hedge, qualify, and say it depends constantly, while beginners speak in absolutes. Researchers call this the Dunning-Kruger curve. Confidence spikes almost immediately right after you learn just a little. That peak is sometimes called Mount Stupid. Then, as you learn more and discover how complex the subject actually is, confidence crashes into what's called the Valley of Despair. Only after that crash does real competence slowly start to climb on what researchers call the slope of enlightenment. Most people quit somewhere in that valley right when they're actually starting to learn something real. So, here's what to actually do with this. The moment you feel most confident about something you just learned is often exactly the moment you know the least about it. Real expertise doesn't feel like certainty. It usually feels like doubt because you can finally see how much there is to get wrong. So next time you're completely sure about something, ask yourself, is this confidence or is this Mount Stupid? If this made you a little less sure of yourself, that's the point. Follow for more of your brain, doing things you didn't sign